Hey everyone, in this lesson we are going to be looking at scripting inside of the Godot engine. Now, scripting is a very powerful thing and it basically allows us to write code which we can use to create whatever game we wish. So, first of all, what is scripting? Well, at its core, scripting is how we can create the gameplay behaviors and logic for our game. Okay, and this is done via creating what's known as a script. And a script is essentially a file which we can create in the file system. Okay, so it's an asset. And this is essentially just a text document which we fill with code. And then what we can do is we can attach that script to a node. Okay, each node at the bottom in the inspector, you may have already seen this, has a script property where we can assign a single script. And then that script can do certain things to that node. Okay, for example, if we have a player, we'll want to attach a player script to the player's node where it can then influence its position based on keyboard inputs. Or if you have some sort of enemy AI, you might want to attach that to the enemy. So let's hop over into Godot right now and look at how we can create a script. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to pretty much figure out what node we want to attach our script to. Now, just for demonstrational purposes, I'm just going to select our root node right here, and I'm going to go over to the inspector, and you'll see here we have our script property, okay? And right now it is empty, meaning there is no script attached, so let's create one and attach it. Now to do this, we could right click in the file system and create it that way, or we can just click on the little drop down here next to the script property and go new script. That's going to open up this attach node script window, and this is where we can choose a bunch of different settings, but really for us, we can use to create whatever game we wish. So first of all, what is scripting? Well, at its core, scripting is how we can create the gameplay behaviors and logic for our game. Okay, and this is done via creating what's known as a script. And a script is essentially a file which we can create in the file system. Okay, so it's an asset. And this is essentially just a text document which we fill with code. And then what we can do is we can attach that script to a node. Okay, each node at the bottom in the inspector, you may have already seen this, has a script property where we can assign a single script. And then that script can do certain things to that node. Okay, for example, if we have a player, we'll want to attach a player script to the player's node where it can then influence its position based on keyboard inputs. Or if you have some sort of enemy AI, you might want to attach that to the enemy. So let's hop over into Godot right now and look at how we can create a script. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to pretty much figure out what node we want to attach our script to. Now, just for demonstrational purposes, I'm just going to select our root node right here, and I'm going to go over to the inspector, and you'll see here we have our script property, okay? And right now it is empty, meaning there is no script attached, so let's create one and attach it. Now to do this, we could right click in the file system and create it that way, or we can just click on the little drop down here next to the script property and go new script. That's going to open up this attach node script window, and this is where we can choose a bunch of different settings, but really for us, we just want to go down to where it says path. And this is where we can change the name of our script. So I'm just going to call this one intro to scripting.gd. Click create, and it is going to do two things. It's going to first of all create a brand new intro to scripting.gd file down here in our file system. And secondly, it's going to switch us over into the scripting screen, okay? Before we were in 2D, we also have 3D, and then it goes over to scripting, which is where we can write down our code. Now, there's a couple things already inside of the script editor right here. some text, and pretty much just like Word or any other text editor, we can click around and we can type stuff in, okay? So it's pretty much a text editor, but specifically designed for the Godot scripting language, which is called GDScript, okay? If you do have any prior knowledge with programming, then just know that GDScript is very similar to Python, okay? But you don't need to know anything whatsoever about programming or coding in order to follow along with this course. We are going to go through everything from scratch. So you can see here that we have all of our code written down, which is just the default code to give.
Stand by. Stand by. Oh. Sorry, guys. I needed some water and snacks. All right, carry on.
Gives us right now. On the left-hand side, we have a list of all of the different scripts that we have, okay? So later on in your game, when you have, dozens of scripts, you'll probably want to be jumping between them to write code, edit stuff. So this is where that list will appear. And then down here, we have all of our methods, okay? Listing out our methods, and we'll get into what those are in a future lesson. And what differs this from just opening up Notepad or opening up any other word processor is because this piece of Godot is specifically designed for writing GDScript. And that means we have what's known as code formatting. And that pretty much means that whenever we write down our code, you can see that certain things are different colors, okay? We have some pink stuff, some green, some purple, some blue, okay? It colors our code based on what we are writing, okay? Because the program knows what we are doing, okay? It knows the language we are trying to write in, and it colors the code based on that. And that just makes it a lot easier to look at and identify certain things. As well, typically these sort of programs also have autocorrect, okay? Which basically means that when you're writing down code, it tries to estimate and assume what you want to do, and it will pop up with a window with a bunch of different things. So if you're not quite sure on what a certain thing was called in the language, you can begin typing it, and a box will appear, and it might have your answer right there, okay? So we'll get into all of that later on. But for now, we have our script here inside of Godot ready to be edited.
Have that.
Okay, so we can save this, and in the next lesson, we are going to be going over the concept of variables. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all then. Welcome back, everyone. In this lesson, we are going to be learning about variables. Now, first of all, what is a variable? Well, basically, a variable is a piece of data which we can define.
There we go. I don't know why that freezes like that.
read, and change the value of. Okay, it's basically this piece of data that we save to memory, and we have the ability to utilize it. Now, you can think of it like a box, okay? We can give a variable a name and assign it a value, okay? And at any time, we can try and find the box that, might say player's health, and inside of that, we have a value, a number, for example. And we can look at that number so we know what it is. We can also change it, add to it, subtract it, multiply it, pretty much anything we want to do with it, okay? And there are also different types of variables, okay? There are whole numbers, decimal numbers, text. There are a bunch of different variable types that we will be going over. So let's hop over into Godot and have a look at how we can start creating some variables. Okay, so here we are inside of our script. Now, the first thing we want to do is go to the right location to start creating our variables, okay? Now, you'll see we have this extends node 2D line of code right here. Pretty much, we just want to go to a line or a couple lines underneath it, okay? And what we are going to do is we are going to create a variable. Now, let's just say we want to create a variable that keeps track of a player's score, okay? Well, to do that, we have to define the variable. Now, to define a variable, we first of all have to write down the keyword var for variable, add a space. We need to give the variable a name, so I'm going to write down score, and then we can go equals and give it a value. Now, let's say score equals 0 by default, okay? And there we go. Var score equals 0. Var, which is the keyword which defines a variable, score, which is what we are calling our variable, equals 0, okay? We are assigning it a value of 0. So we've created a variable. Now, what do we do with it? Well, for right now, let's just print it to the output so we can actually see what it is. Now, printing basically means we are logging a message to the output down here, okay? You see at the bottom left here, we have the output. We can click on that, and that's going to open up the console, the output. And pretty much we can log messages here. Whenever we get errors in our code, that is where they'll appear as well. So you'll probably want to have this open most of the time when you're starting out, as it's very handy in catching all the little errors that you might write down. So how do we print our score variable down here to the output? Well, we want to go down to this thing right here where it says func ready, okay? And this here is basically what's known as a function. We're going to get into what functions are a bit in the future, but right now just know that a function is a block of code that can be called at any time. And the ready function gets called right at the start of the game to initialize stuff. So what we can do is remove this line of code where it says pass and write down print in 2 brackets score, okay? Now what this is going to do is it is going to print, and then in between these 2 brackets here, we want to basically add in what we want to print, in our case, score. So Control S to save, and then press the play button, and let's see what happens. Okay, I press play, and if we look over here in the output, we can see the number 0. Now we can stop playing that. We can then change score, for example, to be 5. Let's save that, press play, and down here in the output, as you can see, it prints 5, which is great. Okay, so we have the ability to create variables and print them out. Now, we also need to go over the concept of variable types. Now, the way Godot is, or the way GDScript, is that it is what's known as a dynamic language, meaning we don't have to hard define specifically what we are doing and what we want. And that allows us a lot of flexibility, but generally, I'd say it's best practice, especially early on, to define the data types of your variables. And by that, I mean, when we create a variable, we need to basically tell it what type of variable it is going to be. So in our case, we have score, and score is a number. In our case, it's going to be a whole number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So what I'm going to do is after where we write down score, I'm going to add a colon, go space, and then write down the word int, okay, for integer. And that is a type of variable. An integer is a whole number. So this basically means that we are just defining score as being a variable that is a whole number. Now, what about other variable types? Well, let's go down to a new line here. create another variable, and this time we are going to create a variable of type float, which is a floating point number. So something that may have a decimal number in it might be the player's move. And this here is basically what's known as a function. And that's going to open up here where it says gets called print in 2 brackets score. Okay. Now what this is going to do is it is going to print, and then in between these 2 brackets here, we want to basically add in what we want to print. In our case, score. So Control S to save, and then press the play button, and let's see what happens. Okay, I press play, and if we look over here in the output, we can see the number 0. Now we can stop playing that. We can then change score, for example, to be 5. Let's save that, press play, and down here in the output, as you can see, it prints 5, which is great. Okay, so we have the ability to create variables and print them out. Now, we also need to go over the concept of variable types. Now, the way Godot is, or the way GDScript I mean is that it is what's known as a dynamic language, meaning we don't have to hard define specifically what we are doing and what we want. And that allows us a lot of flexibility, but generally, I'd say it's best practice, especially early on, to define the data types of.
Stand by. Jiminy Christmas. Bro, I can't even print. Are you for real? This computer is so trash. Damn it. Come on. Be so for real right now. I mean, we saved. We saved. We saved. Maybe there's hope. Maybe there's hope. We did save. Oh. What happens if we try to run it again? Okay, all right. We're kind of, survived, I guess. Right? Seems like it, maybe. I'm try to run it again. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Lucky there. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. More than nothing. We're getting somewhere. Not ideal. Is this cool? This little preview up here? I just don't understand why we didn't get functions when we made this. Why did we not get that? Maybe I missed something.
5, which is great. Okay.
I don't think I did.
So we have the ability to create variables and print them out. Now, we also need to go over the concept of variable types. Now, the way Godot is, or the way GDScript I mean is that it is what's known as a dynamic language, meaning
the way
we don't have to hard define specifically what we are doing and what we want. And that allows us a lot of flexibility, but generally, I'd say it's best practice, especially early on, to define the data types of your variables. And by that, I mean, when we create a variable, we need to basically tell it what type of variable it is going to be. So in our case, we have score. And score is a number. In our case, it's going to be a whole number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So what I'm going to do is after where we write down score, I'm going to add a colon, go space, and then write down the word int, okay, for integer. And that is a type of variable. An integer is a whole number. So this basically means that we are just defining score as being a variable that is a whole number. Now, what about other variable types? Well, let's go down to a new line here, create another variable, and this time we are going to create a variable of type float, which is a floating point number. So something that may have a decimal number in it might be the player's move speed. So I can write move speed colon float equals, and then we can say like 2.53, okay? There we go. So an integer is a whole number, a float is a decimal number. Now, you see here how I've written my variables, okay? They're all lowercase, and they have a underscore wherever there would be a space, because in programming, spaces are a big no-no, okay? If you're trying to make a name for something, you cannot have a space, otherwise that will cause an error, okay? So in variable here, we need to give it an underscore, or just have no space at all. And this type of code formatting is known as snake case, and it's generally considered the general practice when it comes to GDScript. Everything here lowercase with underscores where you would put spaces. You can see here with the ready function, we have an underscore there and a underscore for the process function. Okay, it's all lowercase. Now, as well as move speed, we also have another variable type, which is a boolean. And a boolean is a variable that has either two options, true or false. So I can create a variable here called game over of type bool, and this can be equal to true. Okay, there we go. So game over, it's going to be true, or it can be false. So true or false for a boolean, and it's very good for those things where you want an on and off state, for example. So game over is a good one. Maybe if you want to keep track of if the player has something equipped, you could have a boolean for that. And then finally, one more data type we're going to look at is a string, okay? And a string is text. Now, the way we create a string is a bit different. We have to go var, we'll just call this one ability of type string with a capital S this time. And this is going to be equal to, and we need to put 2 double quotation marks, and we can just put in here slash or some sort of ability, okay? And there we go. So the way we define a string is by using the string data type, but this one has a capital S, okay, unlike bool, float, and int. And to write down a string value, we need to put it in these quotation marks. And you can see that with our formatting, it has turned it into this sort of brownish gold color, okay, to denote that this is a string.
Yes.
Now, a cool thing about variables is that not only can we read them, we can also modify their values.
Right.
So down here in the ready function, we're printing out score.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and print out move speed, okay, just so we can see what it looks like. So we can then press play, and you'll see down here in the output, we have 2.53, okay, so that's all working fine. Well, what we can do is we can change move speed. So
hold your horses there, brother. My computer can't run that fast. 2.53. We did it, boys. All right.
Let's say just before we want to print it, so we'll go to a new line here.
Right.
We can go move speed equals, and then we can change that to something like 5.1. Okay, so now if we save that and press play, we should see 5.1 in the output because we are changing it. And that's something else that I need to go over, and that is the order of execution, okay? When it comes to pretty much every coding language, there is what's known as an order of execution. And that basically means that it runs one command at a time, okay? In our case, lines. So when the ready function gets called, it looks at its contents, and it runs it from the top down, okay? So it goes move speed equals 5.1, then it prints it out. And what we can do then is also go move speed equals 500.156, and then we can print that value out as well, okay? So what do you think this is going to look like when we press play? Okay, we're going to have two things printed out, and if I press play, as you can see, 5.1, 500.5 or 0.156, okay? And that is because we are, first of all, setting move speed to equal 5.1. we are printing that value out. We are then changing move speed to equal this new number, and then we are printing it
I
out.
didn't reprint it. Fuck. What happened? Whoa. Was that? I don't think that was over. Then we print, right? Print, move, speed, tab. Yep. Yep. Now. I did it. Fantastic.
Welcome back, everyone. In this lesson, we are going to continue on with creating variables, okay? So in the previous lesson, we looked at how we can define variables up here and give them a data type, okay? A data type is basically telling the variable what type of value it can hold. In our case, for score, it is of type int, which is an integer, and that means it can hold whole numbers, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1,000, 10,000, 200, okay? Then we have move speed, which is a variable that is of type float. And a float is a decimal number, okay? This can be much more precise in terms of what numbers you can store. Then we have game over, which is of type boolean, or bool, we write here. And that is basically a variable which can be true or false, okay?
Yes,
on or off.
I remember.
And then finally, we have looked at a string variable, which
text.
is which is basically text, okay? And we define the value by putting it in quotation marks right here. And then down here in the ready function, which gets called right at the start of the game, you can even see there's a little comment up here which explains what the ready function does. We are basically assigning move speed to equal a new value. We are printing that new value out to the output window here.
That's what that is right
We
there.
are then changing the move speed again and printing the new value out to the output.
For sure.
And we also looked over the idea of order of execution, which basically means that since we are working with a computer, it has to execute one thing at a time, okay? And in our case with programming, it goes line by line. So when the ready function here gets called at the start of the game, it is first of all calling this line of code, then this line of code, then this line of code, then this line of code, okay? It goes down. And that is a core concept.
This line of code.
This line of code. When writing your code.
This line of code.
Now, let's remove this here, and let's look at, for example, how can we change some of these other variables.
What do you take out?
So let's say we want to change game over, okay? Let's just say something happens and the game is suddenly over. Well, we can go game over equals true, okay? And that is going to change that value from false to true. We can then print that out. So game over like so, save it, press play, and down here in the output, you can see it says true, all right? Now, we can also do the same thing for strings, okay? And to change a string variable, it's pretty much the same as everything else. We just need to go ability equals, and then in 2 double quotation marks, we can enter in a new string for this variable. And for this new string, let's just say we want to go heal, okay? A heal ability. And there we go. So we can then go to a new line, print out the ability variable, save that, press play, and there we go. It says true and heal. Okay, so as a bit of a challenge, I want you to go ahead and create 4 variables which are going to be used to define a country, okay? And each of these variables should be using a different data type, okay? And the 4 variables that you need to create is going to be a country name, a population, a highest altitude, and whether or not that country is landlocked, okay? Does that country have access to the sea?
Easy.
So each of those variables need to have a different data type, and then I also want you to go ahead and print all of these 4 variables out inside of the ready function so that when we press play, we can see them in the output. So have a go at that, and I'll be right back to see how you're done.
Easy. Okay, variable. Country name. It's gonna be spring equals blue. Blueland. Blueland. All right. Next variable, population variable. Population. Colon. That's gonna be an integer. Equals. There's about 300 people. And then another variable for country height. That's going to be a float. And that equals 455.129. And then finally, variable, what's the final one? Is it landlocked? Country landlock status colon bool equals false. It is not landlocked. Print country name. We just need a bunch of prints. That's all we need. All we need is a bunch of prints. Print. No. Country name. Print. Country. Print pop. Relation. Print. Country height. Print. Country landlocked status. Name, population, height, landlocked. Run that shit. Blueland, 300 people. 455.129. False. Nailed it.
All
Talk
right,
to me.
so I hope you had to go at that challenge. Pretty much what we want to do is we first of all want to create our country name variable, and that is of course going to be done by using a string.
A string!
So I'm going to go var,
Nailed it.
then I'm going to go country name of type string, capital S, equals,
Shit.
and for me, I'm going to do Australia. So I'll write down Australia inside of the string variable here. All right. Now, next up, we need our country's population. And a population, that is a whole number. So that's going to be an integer. So I'm going to go var.
Did I get a new setup? No, I did not get a new setup.
Population of type int equals, and we're going to put about 25 million. 123. Okay.
25 million.
And then next up,
God.
we have the highest altitude. Now, this is going to be a variable of type float, okay? Because when it comes to measurements, you know, you can get very fine with those. So it's probably good to have that as a floating
Do
point
you think
number.
you're just going to put height or
So I'm
country
going to go
height?
var highest altitude
Oh.
of type float
Float. Yeah.
equals, and with the highest altitude, this here is going to be 2.228 kilometers, okay? Like so. Then what we need to do is have a variable for whether or not this country is landlocked. And since that is either yes or no, we are going to use a boolean for true or false. So var landlocked bool equals false. Okay, and there we go. So these are our variables that we have created. Now the next step is to go down into our ready function here, and we need to basically print each of these out. Now, the pass that is here by default, this is basically just a filler for the function, okay? If your function is empty, pass basically just is there to give it some body. So we can remove that. and we can go print country name. We can then go print population.
Yep, we did that. Yep.
Print highest altitude, and then finally print landlocked. Okay, save that. Press.
Taking a break from prepping for interviews. Interesting. Start learning programming. Yeah, I mean, yes, 100%. Just started learning. I have tried to dip my feet in this several times throughout my life, so a lot of this is familiar. This is like a lot of, I mean, it's refreshing and I need it. It's literally 2 steps past this point is when I usually tend to trail off. Like after I learn variables, maybe some basic functions, it starts to like, that seems to be where I disconnect usually. So that's the goal this time is let's take one more step than we usually do. Long road ahead, you would take it one step at a time. Yeah. Well, you know what I think a big thing of it is? Not to get off track here. I think a big thing is I was trying to learn, the language I kept trying to learn was C++, which is obviously a big language to learn. And I think it helps that I'm not trying to dive into C++ this time. It would be really nice, but
play, and we should see in the output here we have all of those variables logging to the output, which is great. Okay, so we have all that set up. Now, in the next lesson, we are going to look at how we can start modifying our variables in different ways, and that is going to be done via operators. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all then.
Python seems to be a good language to start. Yeah, that's what I continue to hear. Everybody keeps saying, like, maybe consider starting with Python. Oh, look at this. We got a bunch of text. This GD code, whatever it is, I guess it's Python based, so I think we're getting the similar experience here. All right, what do we got here? Get some documentation. Skip some of the more abstract concepts. Always come back to the learning things like control flow and basic data types. Yeah, that's probably what I need to stay engaged and continue to progress. I feel like not skipping over, but coming back to some of the abstract concepts or as I need them, will be key to staying on track this time. Variables are containers that store data values such as numbers, text. Yes, we just learned that. They have their blah, 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 blah. Var keyword, define variable, health, and modify the variable like so. Tend to feel more rewarded by seeing the result of our work. Skipping to the end. Skipping to seeing that end result can be good early on. Yeah, it helps. It definitely helps. That's also why I want to learn within the context of game design, because I feel like it's not that regular software doesn't have tangible results, but I feel like game design has more interactable results, and I like that a lot. We learned integer, float, string, boolean. Yep. Create the variables. We just did that. Additional resource. Fantastic. Great. We did all that. Next. Never been good at creating games, more an AI web dev person. And you know what? Maybe I would be good at that if I would just try that, but I'm so stubborn and I want to learn game design so bad that like I just continue to like I continue to throw myself into this pool to try and learn. How would we create a variable called score and give it a value of 5? Var score equals 5. Right? What's the difference between an int and a float? Integers, whole numbers, floats have decimals. Static typing is where we define the type of variable and create. What does that look like? We define the type. Okay, var guess that one. Yeah, because it's the variable. The name of the variable is message. The type is a string, and then you type it out. Yep. Which line of code below is correct? Game over blue false. Yeah. Pretty sure it's that one. Oh, we got 100. Let's go. Knew it.
Welcome back, everyone. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at operators inside of GDScript. So an operator, these...
GDScript. That's what it's called. It's basically Python, but GDScript. Yes, sirree.
Are basically symbols.
Also, I'm like playing with fire here because this computer is so freaking finicky and on its last leg, running an i5 and a 1080, as you can see right here, that like streaming while trying to learn game dev is very risky. But I think we're so far in the shallow end that we can still do it. I think we're okay. Anything is better than nothing. That's exactly right. And a lot of the game devlogs that I've seen, there's a lot of people out there running like laptops, man. I mean, there are plenty of laptops that are definitely more powerful than this, but seriously. Best time to learn was yesterday. Second best time is today. That's exactly right. Oh my gosh. That's so encouraging. Thank you so much.
That tell the computer to perform certain mathematical operations, okay? And there are many different types of
Oh, look, a brand new follower. How nice is that?
That's very nice. Thank you. I think that was Morgan Freeman. If you ever have a question, please do feel free to let me know. I will definitely take you up on that, no doubt. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. I will definitely take you up on that. I will be back here doing a lot about this. I don't know much about making games. That's okay. You know more than me about coding, and that's where it will be helpful. Plus, just having somebody to bounce ideas off of is amazing in and of itself. You're at Google. Ooh, an AI startup. That's cool. Ooh, final round of OpenAI. That's so cool. How exciting. That'll be very cool. Nice. See, you definitely got great experience. You'd be an amazing person to bounce stuff off. This must be crazy to see. Like, I bet this takes you all the way back to the very beginning. Like, oh my gosh. The first time you ever opened like a script, like an IDE. Like, this is like watching somebody learn the alphabet. Like, oh, look, he's on C. He's on the letter C. No idea what you're doing because I've never used Godot. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we're not even that deep in it, right? Like, we're literally just learning strings, variables, integers, all that good stuff. Godot is just, it's a game engine, right? For sure. But like right now in the scripting part of it, it's basic scripting that every single language and IDE does. So
addition, subtraction, multiplication, division.
Oh God, see, you lost me. I'm just kidding. I'm decent at math, but
and there are a few others, but you know, these are the four that we are going to be focusing on today. Now, for example, if we wanted to increase our variable by a certain amount, we would go, we'd first of all define a variable, num for example, and to increase it by a certain amount, we'd go num plus equals 2, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
So let's hop into Godot right now and have a look at how we can start using operators.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are inside of our script.
Oh God, see, he just clears everything like that. Jesus. Okay, goodbye. And goodbye. Okie dokie now. See, I don't understand why his functions pop up automatically. His 5, 6 lines and his 9, 10, 11 lines. He gets those automatically. I don't get those automatically. I had to type them myself. Error at 6 and 15 expected in digital blocks after declaration. 6? What? What the hell are you talking about? Brother, what happened? What did we do? Let's go back. What if we just backspace there? 6 and 15. We don't even have a line 15. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? Expected indented block after function declaration. Brother, there is an indented block. Are you crazy? Am I crazy? Yoo-hoo. All right. I'm just gonna leave that alone for now. Why? Oh, is it because there's no pass? Pass. That's what it is. Look at that. Already debugging. I'm a genius. Let's start operators.
Now, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and create ourselves a variable. So I'm going to go here, create a variable, and
Easy. I'm not in the freaking.
I'm just going to call it, we'll just call it num. I don't know, we'll call it score actually to make it a bit easier to understand.
Score.
It is going to be of type int, and we'll make it equal to 0.
Fantastic. Equals 0.
So we've created an integer variable, set it to 0. Then down here inside of the ready function, let's go ahead and print it out. So print score, and when we press play, we should see score prints out 0, okay, which is what we should expect. Now, so far, if I were to ask you how we can change the value of a variable, we've looked at the equals sign.
Let's slow down there, Captain. Let me just run that real quick. Let my 1080 just chug along here for a second. And 0. Fantastic. We did it. I love that the little NVIDIA overlay pops up every time. It's hilarious. Like I'm about to play some big game. All right, what are we doing next?
We've looked at score equals, and let's just say 10, okay? Now, this equal sign is what's known as the assignment operator, and this is what we use to basically assign a new value to a variable, okay? Right. So we are setting score to be equal to 10.
Yep.
Now, that's good if you know what number you want to set it to, but let's just say we have a score variable and we want to increase it every time the player, collects a coin or something like that.
Yep.
Well, when the player collects a coin, we don't want to go score equals 2 because, we don't know how many coins the player has collected.
Yep.
So what we can do instead is just increase score by a certain amount.
Right.
And to do that, we can go score plus equals 1. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to get our score variable, and it is going to basically, as it says, add 1 to it. Okay, so now if we save that and press play, we should see 1 down here in the output.
Press play.
And we can then go to a new line here just before print and go score plus equals 2. And that means that when we press play, we should see 3 when it prints out. Okay, and there we go, 3. So basically what we're doing here is we are going line by line. We are adding 1 to score, then adding 2 to score, and then printing it out. So yeah, that is addition. Now, just like with addition, we also have...
Nailed it. Oh, God. You can't hear it. But what just happened when I made it do simple math? We did the score plus equals 1, increase it by 1, and it ran fine. I did the plus equals 2 to increase it to 3, and my fans kicked on. The 1080 was like, whoa, brother. The CPU's like, oh, settle down there. Calm down now. Don't be making us do that. We're using all the threads right now.
Subtraction. Now, to do subtraction, all we need to do is go score minus equals, and then a certain number. So let's say minus equals 2. And then we can print that out. So print score. So what we should see then is we should see 3, and then we should see 1. So save that, press play, and there we go. 3.
Oh,
We then
God, dude, he's so fast. 3 and then 1. 3, 1, 3, 1. Oh, man, she's chugging 3, 1. Oh, my God, we did it. We did it. Basic addition.
and subtract 2 to make it 1. So that is addition,
Arithmetic.
subtraction, and as well as this, we also have multiplication. Now, with multiplication, we don't really have a multiply symbol on our keyboard aside from an X, but, that is a letter, so we can't really use that. So instead, let's just say we want to multiply our score by 10. To do that, we're going to go score, and then we are going to add in the asterisk symbol, equals. Now, to get the asterisk, you can just go Shift 8, and that is going to add in the asterisk right there, and then we can multiply that by 10, okay?
10.
And then we can print out that result here. Now, if we press play, you'll see we have 3, 1, and then 10. Now, it's 10 because we are multiplying 1 by 10, so if we just subtract score by 1, then we should see we have 3, subtract 1, that's 2, multiply by 10, that is 20, okay? So, yeah, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then finally,
Did it work? Did we run it? Did I miss the button? Should be 20. Let's go! Basic arithmetic! Your calculator can do this in 60 seconds. 60 seconds. 6 seconds. 3 seconds. 1 second. It can do it in 1 second. 0.6 seconds. Oh my God.
finally, we have division. And division is
Division.
similar to score in the sense that we don't really have a divide symbol on our keyboard. So
Score.
instead,
Let me
we are
go
going to go score /
Yep.
equals 2. Okay,
God.
so we're dividing by 2.
So good.
And then we can print that out.
Print.
So division is the / symbol.
Mhm.
We can then press play,
Oh.
and we see 3 to 20, divide 20 by 2, that's 10. Okay, and there we go. So once again, we have the
3, 2, 20, divide 20 by 10. Divide 20 by 2. Divide 20 by 2. 10. We did it. Yes. Fantastic. Fantastic. Nailed it. Nailed it. So excited. Not gonna lie. We're killing it right now. This is good though, because this stuff is I do know this. The only thing I didn't know was the syntax for the minus goes before the equals and the minus and the plus goes before the equals, the multiplication goes before the equals. But I didn't know that, but now that I know that, this is familiar. I mean, we're on track right now. Now, I know that we're only printing to the output window. We're not actually printing to the screen, right? But we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's see what he does next. What does he do next? He's probably going to give us a challenge.
the addition operator right here, which we are basically adding 1 to our score variable. We are then adding 2 to our score variable and
Right.
printing it out.
Yep.
Then down here, we are subtracting 1 from score. We are multiplying score by 10, and then we are dividing score by 2. Now, along with this, we also have the ability to perform these operations in a bit of a different way. So let's just say down here, we want to create a couple variables, okay? So I'm going to create a variable called A. It's going to type int, and we'll make this equal to, let's just say, 10, okay? Now, you see I'm defining a variable inside of the ready function here, okay? Rather than outside. Well, you can define variables pretty much wherever you want. All that matters is the scope of the variable, okay? What can access that variable? Now, since I am defining this variable inside of a function, that means that this variable can only be accessed and used inside of the ready function, okay? If I go down to the process function and write code, it's not going to know about the
Variable
a
A.
variable because it isn't a global variable, okay? Whereas score, this is defined outside of the functions so we can access it from anywhere.
Makes sense.
All right, so we have a equals 10. Now let's create another variable called b of type int. Let's just say we want b to be double the value of a. How do you think we could do that? Well, we have equals a times 2. Now you see here that I'm not actually doing the multiply equals. And the reason why is because we aren't changing the value of a, okay? We are just referencing it and creating a new value, okay? So that's an important thing to know is that we have operators and assignment operators, okay? What we've been looking at so far, these are all assignment operators, okay? That basically means we're using an operator to assign a new value to a variable. Whereas with just a normal operator, we are using it as you would in maths, okay? So b is equal to a multiplied by 2. That means the variable b is going to be equal to 20, okay? And we aren't modifying a at all, okay? A is not being touched. We are merely reading the value. So this is basically the exact same as just entering 10 right here, okay? 10 times 2. But we are using a, which has its value. Okay, so as a bit of a challenge, I want you to go ahead and create a variable called money with a value of 10.
Okay. Let's get rid of these. Let's get rid of the... Holy moly. Score not declared. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Var. Be an integer. And it's going to equal 10. Then we're going to go in here. Var money plus equals 5. Let's just print it, just for the sake of practice. Print money. Print money, dude. Print money, dude. Var money. We're gonna double it, so let's multiply it by 2. And then let's print money, dude. Print money, dude. Print money, dude. And then what do you want to do? Take 3 up, assuming that's British for subtract 3. Var money. Wait. Oh, we don't need variable. We just take money. Yeah. That's the problem. Money. Right? I'm pretty sure that's what's going on there. Money. Minus 3. And then what do we do? Print. Seriously? Print money, dude. Print money. And then money. Divide that. And then print money, dude. Print money, dude. Yep. Okay. That should be fine. Let's get rid of that. Oh, baby. Okie dokie. Let's see how
Then
we
I want you to
did.
go ahead, add 5 to it. I then want you to double that value. I then want you to take away 3, and then I want you to halve that value as well. And then finally, print out the result. So have you got that challenge? And I'll be right back to see how you done.
Oh, I done. Oh, I done. I done did it, brother. It's over. Show me. Show me the way. I bet he doesn't print
Alright,
money
so I hope you had to go at that challenge.
as much as I
Let's
do.
look at how we can complete it. So first of all, we need to create a variable called money. So I'm going to go var money of type int equals 10.
Nailed it.
Now, the first step is to add 5. And to do this, we can use the addition assignment operator. And to do that, we can just go money plus equals 5. Okay? Then we need to double it. Now, the best way of doubling our money is to just multiply it by 2. So we can go money multiply equals 2. Okay, using the asterisk for our multiplication symbol. Then we need to take 3. And we can do that with the subtraction. So money minus equals 3. And then finally, we need to half this value. And to do that, we can just divide by 2. So we're going to go money / equals 2. Okay, with the / being the division operator. And then finally, let's go ahead and print this out. So print money, and let's see what our final value should be. So I'm going to press play, and we can see down here in the output, it is 13. Okay, and that should be the value that you get if you did follow along with the challenge.
Print money.
Now, so far in our coding journey, we have been looking at a pretty straightforward order of execution. Okay, each line of code is being called.
Card.
Well, what happens if we want to start branching our code, checking to see if certain things are true or false, and then running code based on that? Well, in the next lesson, we are going to be looking at conditions.
Oh my god. Bet there's a quiz. Oh, just that. Okay. Addition, subtraction, assignment operators. Dude. All right, if we had a variable called num, how would we add 5 to it? Save the result in num. Num plus equals 5, dude. Wanted to combine 2 strings together. Bro, I don't know. You didn't talk about that. What the fudge? Multiply is that. Divide is that. If we want to add 2 strings together. What the fuck? Bro, you didn't talk about that. You're asking me stuff we didn't talk about. What the heck are you talking about? Where are we at? We're at 35. There's 61. We're over halfway done, brother. Over halfway done. With this part. Over halfway done. And we're killing it. We are killing it. Print money, dude. Oh, brother. Okay. Let's see. Conditions. Quiz, functions. Vectors, challenge, coin collector. Oh my goodness. What are you talking about? All right. Why don't we leave it there? We'll do conditions tomorrow. I think that's a smart play. Let's not get overwhelmed here. How long have we even been live? Not long, but still. An hour? That's an hour. That's an hour of work. Log it. It's a little over an hour because I had to get this stream going. And skip this ad. We're about to end. QQQ. All right. I think that's gonna do it for today. Probably crank that bad boy up. That's the hair. Down just a bit there. Oh. Cool. I mean, nothing groundbreaking today, but progress on our journey for learning. I'm going to go watch some more videos just because I like to absorb tons of content. But as far as like active learning, I think we're done for today. I'm really proud of it. Let's save. Make sure I save here. Oh, yes. All right. Feels good. Feels good. I feel like we got a good amount done. Yep. This does nothing towards the game directly, but our knowledge has been reinforced. I think we knew how to do a lot of this, but we're learning how to do it within GDScript, which is important. We're also learning a much higher level language. Higher, right? I think this is a higher level. Yeah, this is higher. And it's flowing really well, so that's good too. What else? Should have a little bit of time tomorrow to look at this. Hopefully. I think there's a chance we could round out this lesson tomorrow and be done with the basics of GDScript. Depends how long that little, it looks like there's a game we make at the end. It depends how long that takes to put together. Also with the challenges. There's a challenge in there. But I like the structure of this. I feel like I'm actually like retaining what I learn because of the quizzes and since I'm taking the challenges seriously. So I feel like I'm retaining more. It'll be interesting to start putting things together. The part that I'm really interested in exploring is my ability to do these things on my own outside the concept of like a tutorial, right? Like this is like some tutorial hell stuff where we're just like copying a lot of what they do. I'm trying to get ahead a little bit and do what I can where I know that I can. Like some of the stuff I already knew how to do, like how to divide. I think you saw that part where I just like did that right away. I knew it was going to be the slash. I did that. Like I know those things, but I want to be able to utilize them when I need them, not just because it's in a tutorial. So if I'm building something, I want to be like, okay, I need to divide this and this is how I divide it. And this is how I set a variable. Like I just want to be able to do that. I don't want to have to like just drone and watch a tutorial and just do the same thing. So that's kind of the goal. Then hopefully as we gather all these tool sets of being able to do these things, we can start to build things. So that would be ideal, to start building something more tangible that I can see on the screen, play with. You guys can see it on the screen, watch me play it, and some of the stuff that I'm doing in the background with the scripting is more relatable than just learning the basics. But we got to learn the basics to get there. So I feel good. That'll wrap it up for today's devlog, day 1. Yeah. You guys missed day 0. It was offline. I did it on my own. So, in true coding fashion, there's day 0. This is day 1. You're here for it. Hooray. I'll try to make sure I have all the other days that I decide to invest into this. And hopefully, we don't reach the limit of our abilities with this machine too quickly before I can get a new one. That would be a bummer. All right, we'll stop it there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.